And welcome to Mrs. Pam Reads. Today we're continuing in our story, Zoo by James Patterson and Micael Ledwidge. We will be beginning today in chapter 8 of book 1. And in our last video, Oz was at his girlfriend's house. I'm going to move you closer. Oz was at his girlfriend's house, and he had left the chimpanzee with his super's mother babysitting. So we'll see how that turns out. Chapter 8. And boyfriends and girlfriends were doing what boyfriends and girlfriends sometimes do. That was, Natalie started to say, she was out of breath, biting a knuckle. Okay. Jungle love, I asked, untying the 99-cent purchase, the underwear, which had somehow become, oh, okay. I brushed back some broken glass from a picture frame that had fallen on the floor. It was a photo of her dad, a Connecticut equities trader. Girl had some blue blood in her. I turned it over and scooted it under the bed. Equatorial rainforest love, Natalie said, rolling on top of me. Oh, okay. Well, if you recall, I was the only one standing, I said. In the corner of my eye, the winking red light of my iPhone let me know I had a message. How could I forget, she said. That wasn't biology, that was geology. Seismology and tectonics. It's like Archimedes and I always say, give me a place to stand and I can move the world. Okay. I waited until Nat headed for the shower before I retrieved my phone. My message was from Abraham Bindix, my lion man. I feel like you're not getting good light. Is that just my imagination? I'm sorry. Feel like I'm sitting in the dark here. See if we can remedy that a little. Okay. The lion man had called. Oz, unbelievable. It's not just LA. It's happening here too. I called him immediately. Oz, you are not so crazy after all, Abe said in his African accent, with his slightly rolled R's and chopping block consonants. You were right. Lion behavior is wrong. Absolutely wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. I just got back from a curtailed hunt up north near Zimbabwe. We came upon a village, an entire village, emptied out. From one end to the other was lion spoor and blood. I've never seen or even heard of such a thing. There was a note of panic in Abe's voice, which was odd coming from this burly Afrikaner who looked like a retired strongman from the circus. In fact, I'm here dealing with the military, so I cannot exactly talk about it. But when I saw on the news about the lion attack at the LA Zoo, I knew I had to call you. You have to come here to Botswana, man, and bring cameras. You and the rest of the world have to see this to believe it. Say no more, I said. My iPhone pinched under my jaw. I snatched up a pen and looked around Nat's bedroom for something to write on. I'm packing a bag and catching the next flight. Where can you meet me? At the airport in Mon, is it? Right, man, Mon. Let me know which flight you'll be on as soon as you can. This is incredible, terrible, incredible. I'll call you when the first flight change is over, I said as Nat came in wearing a towel. Right, man, said Abe and hung up. Flight? You're going somewhere? She said. I was scribbling notes on the receipt for the panties. Oh, a trip, I said. I gathered that much. Where? Botswana, I said. What? Botswana. Botswana, Africa? Are you nuts? She flicked her wet hair over her shoulder. No, of course you are. Silly question. But you can't do that. People can't do that. You can't get a phone call and then call a taxi out to JFK and go to Botswana, especially if you're unemployed. You're right, I said. What the hell do I do with Attila? Can you watch him for me? Somebody else watching the chimpanzee. Chapter 9. So now I have to babysit a monkey? An ape, I said. Nat was beginning to actually get ticked off at me now, not just play angry. The answer's no, Oz. You know how creeped out I get. Besides, I have class. Relax. My super's mother has it mostly covered. You just have to check in on him once a day and give him his meds. Please. You could polish up your bedside manner. On a monkey? She shrieked. An ape, I said. Besides, this trip is the breakthrough I've been waiting for. If I get some tape of abnormal lion behavior in Africa and couple it with the LA Zoo breakout, people might listen. And we can start trying to figure this thing out for real. Humanity is in jeopardy. We can, please, she said, don't give me the HAC spiel again. Just don't. I really can't believe you, Oz. First, you drop out of the PhD where you're practically ABD. I was bored. Then, for over a year, I don't know, for a hobby, you decide to randomly disrupt classes at New York's finest institutes of higher learning. You were lucky NYU didn't press charges for the chemistry thing. I was trying to get people to use their heads. I like you, Oz, Natalie said. I know you're brilliant, but this HAC thing is really starting to get between us. With my class schedule, there's barely enough time for us to even see each other. I mean, I can't even remember the last time you took me out to a real restaurant. Now you're leaving for Africa. I looked at my girlfriend, perched on the edge of the bed. She was gorgeous. And she liked beer and Chris Farley movies. She played Modern Warfare 2 with me and was good at it. We watched basketball together. She was a Celtics fan, but that was one of her only flaws. Then that's when I shocked her and myself. How about this? I said. I go to Africa. If it's another dud, I pack up my end is nigh sandwich boards and hand in my white Harlem Globetrotter ID card and get a job where I have to wear pants. Agreed? If you come back. Don't be ridiculous. Is it a deal? She rolled her bottle green eyes. Fine, Tarzan. I'll watch King Kong while you go into the jungle, even if it means for the last time. But concerning Attila, don't think this is some sort of mommy dropout. I told you I don't want kids. Not with you, not with Leonardo DiCaprio, no one. I know, I said. Relax. I just have a chimp who needs to eat. Have you seen my boxers anywhere? She finally smiled. Try the couch cushions in the living room. Chapter 10. I left Natalie's apartment, a little uncertain of what I'd just gotten myself into. What if Botswana was a bust? Sometimes I wish I could put my mouth in a cage. I hear that one. It's always pushing me into corners. I'd rather picture myself in a coffin than a cubicle. But by the time I unlocked my bike, I decided that I actually needed my own ultimatum. This was it. It really was time for me to put up or shut up concerning HAC. If a pride of maniacal lions didn't open the world's eyes to what was coming down the pike, then nothing would. Back at the apartment, after I relieved and paid Mrs. Abreu, okay, so nothing happened. That's good. I took out Attila's folding cage from the closet and assembled it. Attila whimpered when he saw me putting it together, knowing what it meant when I had to bust the thing out. I hated to delegate the poor guy to a 6-by-4-foot solitary for the time I'd be away, but there wasn't much else I could do. I wrote a quick note for Nat to double his Zoloft and increase his vitamin D supplements since he wouldn't be able to exercise out on the terrace. After I got the cage put together, I let Attila in from the terrace and set him up in his beanbag chair for a special treat. I gave him his lunch as I played his favorite Beatrix Potter DVD, The Tale of the Flopsy Bunnies and Mrs. Tittlemouse. As he sat contented watching, I ran downstairs to get my bags from the storage bin. When I came back less than 5 minutes later, couldn't believe what was going on. Attila wasn't in front of his DVD player anymore. He was in the shop. He'd already hurled 2 of my TVs into the wall and was standing on the table, banging a laptop against the corner. Attila, I shouted, stop it. Get down this instant. What the hell are you doing? Attila turned, screeching. For a moment, just a brief moment, brief moment, I saw something in his eyes, a coldness, a meanness that I'd never seen before. I actually thought he would swing the laptop at me. Then the moment passed. Attila dropped the computer and leaped off the table and into the corner with his head down. March, mister, I said, grabbing his hand and taking him to his cage. He tried to pick up the American Girl doll as we passed his room. No, I said, snatching it away. Bad Attila, bad boy, I said, shutting the gate and locking it. After I swept up the broken glass and cleaned the chimp crap off the DVD player, I got on the internet to book a flight to Botswana. The best I could do was a flight that left the next morning with a stopover in Johannesburg for $3,000. My parents wouldn't be happy, but I'd have to dip into the principal of the small trust Grandpa Oz had left me. I packed passport, clothes, gear. I had a 35mm Nikon with a super lens, but my pride and joy was my professional grade Sony DSR 400L camcorder. I took it out of its padded bag and tested its light and charged up its lithium batteries before I stuffed it all away again. I was hustling, bringing everything into the hallway when I heard the whimper. It was Attila. He was sobbing after receiving his scolding. I went into his room and opened the cage. Are you sorry, Attila? Are you really sorry? A high yelp assured me that he was, and we hummed it out for a while. I let him romp around while I kept getting things ready. I was almost all packed when Attila tugged my shirt and clicked his teeth repeatedly. I knew what he wanted. We finally kissed and made up. Natalie would have puked. I have to go away for a few days now, I said after I put him back into his cage. It won't be easy, but you're going to be fine. Mrs. Abreu will look in on you early tomorrow, and so will Natalie. You remember Natalie, You be good to her, you hear me? I know you understand me. Attila made a couple of whoops of complaint. I know, it can't be helped. I'm going to miss you too. And that is where we're going to stop for today. I still think something's going to happen with poor Mrs. Abreu, but again, I've not seen it or read it, so I don't know. We'll have to keep coming back to find out. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.